just going to do the, we're just going to discuss the cross product, the torque cross product, just based on my last video, which was more of a rant really than anything else, about the fact that torque isn't a force, and you know, I hear it quite a lot, and it's just something that kind of grinds my gears a little bit. So I'm going to go through what we call the torque cross product and just go into why this is indeed a vector quantity and not a force. So if we go back to this idea of the door, there's our door, and we're going to apply a force F. Now, what I said in the video is that this is probably not the ideal force that we'd use to open the door. If you want to open a door, you would normally push perpendicularly. But let's just say you do apply this force. What is the torque that's exerted on the door? Well, to do that, we need to give the door a length, and we'll call that R. So we're going to redraw that here. So R is a displacement vector, okay? So it goes from the point of axis to the end of the door. This is the force, and this is where the hinge is. So this is the axis of rotation. So what we need to do now is figure out what is the torque that is applied to the door. This pen isn't great. Okay, so what we got now is this idea of what we call a cross product, and this is what we mean by this cross in the middle. It's not an X, it's a cross. It's the cross product. Okay. So to define the cross product, we need to define something else in this picture, and we're going to call it this angle here, theta, which is the angle between the line of R, if R was to extend out, and the line of F. And if we do that, then this cross product becomes the following. So it's the magnitude of R times the magnitude of F times the sine of the angle theta between them, and then there is a direction associated. This here is the definition of the cross product, or what we call the torque cross product. Let me just delete some of this for a second. Don't want to clear the page. How do I make the rubber bigger? Can I make the rubber bigger? Should really learn how to use this properly. Turns out I can't. There we are. Okay. So let's write that over here, and we'll talk about some of those terms. So let's just put that in. Okay, so the first one, R, that's the magnitude of R. Mag of R. So that's the length of the door, effectively, which we can see over here. Okay. F, of course, is the magnitude of F, which is how hard are you pulling on that door or pushing, and theta is the angle between those two, R and F. So if I continued R further out, the angle between them is that. And then hat N, this end one here, this is the direction of the torque. And the direction of the torque, this pen is awful, I do apologise. The direction of the torque is always perpendicular to R and F, which means in this case it's either into this screen or out of this screen. But how do we determine, so if we come over here now, how do we determine whether the direction of the torque is into the screen or out of the screen as you're looking at it? So let me rub this out 1 second. Running out of space. Right. Okay. So the way you do that is something called the right hand rule, which is what I explained in the video. Okay, and the right hand rule works, well, obviously your right hand, don't use your left hand, it's not called the left hand rule, it's called the right hand rule. So what it says is the following. Let me need to make some more space here. Okay, and what it says is the following. So if we take the direction of R, so the direction of R up here, so if we take the direction of R, which in this instance is this way, okay, so we take the direction of R, just change the colour, and we put our fingers straight, so fingers straight, so using our right hand, we put our fingers straight in the direction of R. And then we have the direction of F, and I curl my fingers into that direction using my right hand. Then N hat is the direction of your thumb. In other words, which way your thumb is pointing. So let's have a think about that. Let me just remove some of this. Right, so if you use your right hand, and if you look at sort of the whiteboard or the screen that I'm writing on, so if you put your fingers in the direction of R, so straight, put them straight, and curl your fingers slightly up into the direction of F, which way is your thumb going? Is it out of the whiteboard, or is it into the whiteboard or into the screen? Well, if you look at the direction of your thumb, it should be coming up towards you, out of the screen or out of the whiteboard, because you can't curl your fingers the other way. So in this instance, the direction of torque is out of the screen. Okay, and it takes a bit of practice when you get to more complicated instances of this, but you know, you've got to deal with the cross product and the right hand rule together. So there's another way to think about it, which involves something that you already know. So let me just get rid of this, because all of that is wonderful, and the theory behind the cross product. Hold on, let me clear the page. There we go. So we're going to look at torque on a bolt. And the reason I want to do this is because I need to show how the application of the cross product, or show the application of the cross product. And there's a saying that all of us know, everybody's heard, and we're going to apply that saying and just to demonstrate how the theory applies to the practical. Okay, so let's pretend we have a Phillips head screw. Okay, just imagine that's the end. So there's an expression that we use to indicate whether we're going to tighten that bolt or that screw that everybody knows, and that, without being too basic about this, but we do need to just go through it, because this is how it's applied. So that expression is, as you know, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, so if we're going to tighten it, if we tighten this, we go in. Let's talk about the page now, the screen. We go into the page, or into the screen. This way, we come out of the page or the screen. So as you're looking at the screen right now, okay, just like this bolt or this screw would go into the wood or out of the wood, or into a thread or out of a thread. Okay, talking about the screen now, like we did before, if we are to turn it to the right, we're going into the page or into the screen. If we turn it to the left, we're going out of the screen or out of the page. Okay, and this is the right hand rule. So let's just blow this up. Let's take this bolt and blow it up a little bit and see how it's applied. So we'll blow it up. There's our bolt or our screw. Here is our radius R. Now if I tighten it to the right, I'm going to apply a force F, like so. So if you hold up your right hand and put your fingers in the direction of R this time, so straight up, hold up your right hand, fingers in the direction of R, straight up, and now curl your fingers into the direction of F. Which way is your thumb pointing? Okay, it's pointing, or should be pointing, into the page. Okay, so in this instance, it's going to be is in to the page. Okay, understand? So the direction of the torque is into the page. If you didn't get that, perhaps you had your left hand. So this rotation, which is what I talked about in my last video, which some people got a little bit confused about, this rotation, the vector isn't rotating, but it's indicating the rotation. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. The thread on a bolt, okay, ignore my drawing, but yeah, that's the thread on a bolt, okay. They have a particular helix pattern, okay, so that bolt is called a right-handed thread, okay. So for bolts that are right-handed, this applies, okay, obviously. For bolts that are left-handed, it's exactly the opposite. 99% of all bolts are right-handed. You know, it's not 99%, obviously, I'm just making that number up, but there are places where you find left-handed threads, and obviously this becomes the reverse. So, you know, it's righty-loosey in that instance, and that becomes lefty-tighty. Okay. Now I wonder, any of you watching this just out of interest know where you may have seen a left-handed bolt before or used one. In your garage maybe. Yeah, so for example, the left side pedal on your bike has a left-handed thread, so it removes clockwise and installs counterclockwise, and obviously that's why the pedals have stamped L and R. Obviously, while you're pedaling your bicycle, you don't want the pedal to fall off, so as you're pedaling along, you want it to tighten up rather than loosen up, so that's where that comes into play. So one pedal being a left-handed thread, one pedal being a right-handed thread. So that is the torque cross product, that is the theory, and that is a little bit of how to ensure that the direction of the torque, or how to find the direction of the torque using the right hand rule. Obviously the direction of your torque, the direction of the torque will be direction in which your thumb is pointing. Okay, so I hope that made sense, and now you know, lefty loosey, righty tighty. Or on a left-hand thread, righty loosey, lefty tighty. Thanks for watching.